Hi everyone. Just waiting to see, making sure that this is working. Hi everyone. How are you doing? Right, let's make sure that this is all working. Awesome. Welcome to day one of the Emotions and the Essential Oils for the Whole Family free 5-day event. Today is Monday. How are you? Write a little post in the comments. Let me know how you're getting on. Let me know if you've got any questions you want me to answer specifically. This time is for you. I've got some things that I want to share and talk with you about, but specifically, if there's anything that you want me to cover, please leave me a little message in the comments. And don't forget to put a little like if you are watching too. So the reason I've felt really called to bring this information and these videos to you for the next 5 days is because for me, in my little family, we have a lot of feelings, a lot of big emotions, a lot of things that come up for us all the time. And my son is now 9 years old, so we've been rumbling with feelings and emotions, at least for him, for the last 9 years. For me, a lot longer. And what I've come to realize is that actually there's not a lot of really decent information out there to help us just with the basics of understanding emotions and how we can navigate these times. And by what I mean by these times is that I think we're in a significant period of change where how we relate to ourselves is changing, how we relate to our children is changing, and it's needing to change because our children and our inner worlds for us as adults is shifting and moving and becoming much more often intense, often feeling very emotional. And we need to know how to deal with it. Otherwise, it can feel very overwhelming and create a lot of anxiety, a lot of confusion. And if this is resonating with you, just let me know, put a little message in the comments so I can see that this is resonating with you too. Many of us are sensitive souls. Many of us have grown up in a world where sensitivity was not something that was celebrated or even considered something that should be allowed to be expressed. Nobody really knew what to do with these big feelings a lot of us had as we were growing up. And the generation before us, everyone is doing their best, aren't they? Everyone is really showing up in the best way that they can, but they didn't have the tools to be able to help us. And so we, as parents now, often have to learn on the go. We're learning not only for ourselves and what we need and how we need it, but also learning moment by moment what our children need. And maybe sometimes the needs of the children come first and we realize there's a reflection for us, or vice versa. We know that there's something going on for us and then we see the effect that it has on our children. But in any case, I think there's a lot of different type of emotional needs that are coming up for our children now, and they are coming up in our families, and they are being accentuated even more, especially during these times of lockdown, of intensity. Everyone around us having a lot more emotions, whether they know what to do with them or not. And I'm really interested in how we can allow these feelings to come to the surface and nurture them and be with them and allow the experience to happen rather than it becoming a destructive, overwhelming, and something that affects everybody negatively. When it happens like that, often we tend to go into a sort of a suppression mode, a place where we think that these feelings and emotions are not allowed, and or nobody really know what to do with them, and so they get internalized. And when these feelings and emotions get internalized and they have no outlet for expression, they stay in our bodies. It's like they get stuck there until they get squeezed out eventually through some sort of life experience as we get older. And the it's like mini pressure pots. I view school as a pressure pot. My son goes into a pressure pot and then he comes home and he has to release the pressure that he's accumulated during the day. I go out into society, it's a pressure pot. I come home and I need to find a way to help myself feel better and calm down from the day. And there are all these different sort of pressure pots that are happening that feel maybe more extreme in some places and others at the moment. And I'm really interested in how we can support ourselves with these pressure pots, how we can support ourselves in our families, and also going forward into the Christmas period where, our family of origin are normally places where our most accentuated feelings and emotions come together, and maybe that's even another pressure pot there too. One more thing that I want to say about that especially is that we have a thing in society where we want to name everything. We want to name things as in terms of some sort of polarity, as good or bad, yes or no, black or white, okay, not okay. And when it comes to feelings, and especially expressing emotions, we label them as good or bad. What I'm interested in is really finding a way to not label emotions as anything other than that's what it is. So for example, anger in children is seen as a bad thing. In my world, all emotions are an expression of something that's going on internally, a need that hasn't been met, or an experience, a situation that's going on that needs some attention. Whatever that is, I mean, there are so many different types of things that we can help our children to have and to explore when it comes to these experiences that they're having. But anger is a really good one where we're labeling it normally as a bad, your child is bad, or this, not so much actually the child, but more the emotion. Anger is a bad thing to have and to express, especially if it's being directed out to somebody else. I'm interested in finding out why the anger is there. What's that expressing? What is it? An undeveloped way of being able to say? It's a communication. So what are they trying to communicate? And children get triggered, activated, agitated, whatever you want to call it. We get triggered children get triggered just as much as we do, but theirs is from a very reactive place. And as adults, often we're very reactive too. Or can be if we haven't been working with our emotions for very long. And children are very like what you see is what you get. So it's loud, it's expressive, or it's inward and it's internalized. Whatever the expression looks like, I want to allow, accept, and embrace all of these emotions for us, for our children, for our husbands, our wives, our families. All of them, all of the emotions need to be allowed, accepted, and embraced. Yeah, I'm just reading a comment. The pressure pots for school, absolutely, in society. Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that. And before we used to kind of have to put up and shut up, right? We'd put up and shut up, just get on with it and just push it down. Just get on with it. Your feelings are not valid, or even if they are valid, don't let them out. Don't let them spill out into society. It's not okay. And so what do you do with them? What I want to bring today is a gentle and natural way that we can support ourselves and our families day to day, daily consistent actions that support us, daily things that help us manage and also thrive. I want us to thrive. I want us to be able to be in this world and feel like not only do we thrive, but our children are thriving, and they need tools in order to do that. We need tools in order to do that. And whilst everyone's doing the best that they can, there are some really simple and easy and just very nurturing and supportive things that we can do. for our children and for ourselves. And that's why I love working with essential oils. They work on such a broad spectrum. They work on the emotional body, the mental body, the physical body, and the spiritual body. They work on levels that I have never witnessed before in ways that I cannot fully comprehend. They seem to work with the subtle body in a way that feels like they're working with us. They are our allies. They are our emotional guides. They are here to support us. They are here to bolster us up. They're here to nurture us when we need it. And they're here to calm us down, help us sleep, help us eat, rise us up, lift us, expand, all those things. They are here, and they really do. They're such an integral part of my toolkit, not only just as an aroma point therapy, you putting an oil on an acupuncture point and holding it there. And if you've seen me talk before, you'll know that this is something I'm very passionate about. But also just very practically, like an oil in a bath or in the diffuser and things like that. Now, just in terms of, I want to talk first of all today about the practical uses of essential oils, and then over the course of the week we're going to talk about things like frustration and anger and play, uplifting, sleep, anxiety, maybe even some people pleasing, just to boot. So these essential oils that we use, it doesn't really matter which ones you use in terms of its potency. All essential oils are potent. It's like you're taking the core essence of a plant undiluted often, especially if you're using the pure ones, and you're using the very essence of these plants. They are very strong, and children are, on the whole, are very, very subtle. They don't need much. In fact, more in normal society, in conventional society, when we use essential oil, when we use go to the doctors, the essential oils that are, what am I saying? Let's start again. When you go to the doctors, the idea normally there is that more is better and quicker. More, quick, fast, let's go. Let's blast it with as much as we possibly can, and it will help. Essential oils are completely the opposite to that. Less is more, and little and often is best. And when you come to using them with children, that's even more accentuated. So we want to be thinking about gentle, slow, nourishing, calming ways of using the oils with our children. And you can do the same for yourself. You really need a lot less than you think when you're using these allies. A little bit, and little and often is way, way more effective than blasting it all in one go. If you imagine that your nervous system, which is essentially what we're trying to support here more than any other system, your nervous system is subtle. It feels so much and so often, and yet for us it might feel that we are almost either overactive or completely numb because our nervous system has been assaulted over and over and over again. So you might think it needs some sort of massive hit of something like caffeine or some, I don't know, a sugar perhaps, to try and get through the noise that it feels. But actually it's the complete opposite. What it wants is to calm down. What it wants is to relax. What our nervous system wants to do is unwind itself so we can listen to our feelings from a calmer place, so we can listen to the communication that's coming from the inside from a calmer and more gentle place. And we do that with the oils. They show us the natural way for us to be communicating with ourselves. Nature is all around us. Nature shows us exactly what kind of communication is required. And if you go to the forest and you see nothing's pushing, nothing is crazy busy, nothing is wanting to take control over anything, everything is working in harmony, everything is feeding and nurturing and nourishing each other, everything is in a sort of just working together on a very subtle level often. And that's what the essential oils do too. So we want to dilute the essential oils, especially, let's say, if you're using something like a doTERRA brand and it's a vetiver, you want to be looking at maybe 25 to 50% dilution. It really doesn't need to be much, and vetiver is such a powerful essential oil that a little bit goes a long way. If you're somebody like me who's already quite grounded and rooted, then vetiver will just sink you down even more. If you're somebody who's up here quite a lot of the time, feels like, or maybe your child is up here, up in the heavens, then you might find that you want something to meet them halfway before bringing them down into vetiver. So maybe like a lavender or petitgrain or something like that, just to bring them down. Even some of the flowers, neroli, jasmine, something like that, to calm down the nervous system a little bit, and then you can bring it down further for sleep. So dilution is really important, and little and often is key here. Let me know if you've got any questions. Just put them in the comments and I can answer them as we go along. So what I would like to suggest for the next 5 days is that you create a self-care routine with you and your children and your husbands, wives, whoever's in your family, that involves a practice of connecting with your nervous system in a really calming way. So if you have a bath, this is something that I use, especially when my son is transitioning between my house and his dad's house. When he's making the transition, he'll come back very agitated, very hyper-regulated. He struggles to connect with his surroundings. He struggles to connect with his emotions. It's almost like a after-school post-restraint collapse syndrome, where everything is hyper aware. And I find that the most profound things that I can offer him in that moment, and this is something we've been doing for years, is I get some Epsom salts, which this is the brand that I use, and these are really good because they're food grade, and I take about a cup, half a lid's worth, and I will put about 2 or 3 drops of vetiver in there and some Roman chamomile, about 2 or 3 drops of Roman chamomile. And I will put that in his bath, and he will probably be in there for a good half an hour, because that even the water feels really regulating, even the water feels really calming for the nervous system. Sometimes he takes crystals into the bath. That's not an often thing, but if he does, then it's probably an amethyst or a rose quartz, or maybe a crystal quartz, something like that. That works really well. And then we listen to some binaural beats on the iPad. So it's a full immersive experience. And if he lets me, sometimes there's candles, but he's not really that bothered about that. That's more for me, I think. When we're in these pressure pot situations, and there's going to be more of them, I feel, as we go through the winter months, I want us to create a plan, an approach, an idea, a situation that we know that whatever happens, this is the protocol that we're going to use every day to support ourselves. It needs active intention. It needs an awareness that this stuff is impacting us. And in order for us to feel like we can thrive in this situation, or at least feel comfortable in any situation, we create a plan and learn to communicate with our feelings. And we'll talk more about that as the week goes on. But if we can start off from a baseline of what we know feels calm and comfortable, like using a bath and the oils in that way, then whatever happens next feels manageable, or at least more manageable. How much oil do you put in the bath? I put 2 to 3 drops of each one, and normally I use 2 oils. You really don't want to overdo it with children. They are very sensitive. Too many oils and it will start to irritate the skin anyway. With babies, I would probably just put 1 drop of any oil, except for something like that has wintergreen or anything like that in it. I know the doTERRA Deep Blue one doesn't have, has wintergreen in it, so I wouldn't put that in there. I wouldn't also, for young skin, put peppermint in there either. Which is fine during the summer months because it feels refreshing, but it can feel uncomfortable especially for children who have sensitive skin. I'm not a massive fan of using peppermint in the bath either. I prefer the calming, relaxing ones. Peppermint feels a little bit agitating for me. But yeah, just start off slowly and then you can see if they respond well. If you respond well, then you can add a little bit more if you want it to. I'm really interested also in finding out, and please share in the comments, other tools and techniques that you've started using to support your family with their emotions. Let's create some really juicy dialogue around this. The more we can support and help each other, I think the more powerful it can be, especially when we create community and support. I found that can be a really transformational experience, especially as a parent. So for the rest of the week, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about different types of emotions and what oils can support us and our families. I'm going to answer some questions, so if you've got those, please put them in the comments, or you can DM me privately if you wish. At the end of the week, I'm going to have a giveaway, so the more you share this link, the link to this page and or to the YouTube page as well, the more then you have a chance of being in to win some amazing goodies. And there's not just one, there's going to be more than just one. So keep your eyes peeled, tune in every day at 2 o'clock. The recording will be available here and on YouTube and also. And if you're on the mailing list, you have even more chances to win as well. So in the meantime, I hope you've enjoyed day 1 of the video, and I will see you again tomorrow. Much love.